everybody, and thank you for joining ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Jacob Toronto, and I am joined by my loyal, faithful co-host slash best friend,
Louis Corazol.
And here at the ChasingCinema.com podcast, me and Louis like to talk about the world of motion picture by usually talking about what we've been watching, what's been keeping us busy, talking about little movie news, and then, of course, reviewing the big releases of the week. This week, we're going to be talking about two. We're going to be talking about Dracula Untold and then the new film, The Judge. So let's hop right into it, as this week might be a little bit shorter than usual. Louis, what have you been watching? What's been keeping you busy?
Again, I'm on repeat. Comes the school semester, I'm between working in school and my TV shows. So I've been knee-deep in a variety of TV shows. And that's about it. I did catch a brief the Disney film with John Travolta and Robin Williams, Old Dogs, during the week.
And what did you think about that film?
I wasn't crazy about it the first time. Still, it has its moments. Cheap laugh, good for the family. But again, because it's Robin Williams, I've now, in retrospect, miss him more. So watching it wasn't bad. It was good to see something that I'm not familiar with him.
Not so much familiar with him.
Yeah. So that was good.
I remember watching it, but I literally remember nothing of it.
Yeah.
Didn't we watch that at your house together?
I think we might have rented it and we popped it in. And, very generic, very cheesy, typical. But Bernie Mac is in it, and it's another great talent that we lost too soon. So watching it now, and realizing Bernie Mac and Robin Williams are no longer with us is kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, especially Bernie Mac. I mean, Bernie Mac was an amazing talent. I absolutely loved his stand-up. Mm-hmm. So for him to go so early, it is pretty sad. Moving on, is that all that you've watched lately? Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
That is it.
I watched a few things. I've been prepping for the horror season. I'm trying to introduce Samantha to some horror stuff, but we're going to be talking a lot about horror films all month. So I'm going to kind of pull a sidetrack right now, and I'm going to talk about how I went and saw the show Wicked. The award-winning Broadway show Wicked is going to be touring here at the Smith Center for 5 weeks, and the Smith Center was kind enough to invite me to watch this show. And I have to say, I was genuine. I've heard about Wicked for a very, very long time, and people telling me about Wicked. I did some. I wasn't in theater, but I was always the kid at theater with all my friends because I never got into theater. But a lot of the kids who I hung out with were in theater because they wanted to be actors. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that in your ear. So I heard songs from Wicked, but I always really try to stay away from knowing too much about it because I wanted to eventually see it on my own and watch it blind, just like I do at movies. And let me tell you, Wicked was surprisingly amazing. At first, as I was first watching the show, it wasn't really what I had expected because it does go in a very different direction. And I was kind of off-put by it, but as the show went on, the more I was intrigued. The music is undeniably one of the best things about the show. The cast did really well. I'm actually writing up a review for the Rebel Yell. For those of you who don't know, I've been lately, for all my locals out here, right for the UNLV Rebel Yell, and I'll be writing a review about it for them. But it was a really, really amazing show. I recommend everyone to go see it. Especially if you enjoyed The Wizard of Oz, it is very heavy on a lot of references. Samantha actually has not watched The Wizard of Oz very much, so there was a lot that she didn't necessarily catch. But she caught obviously the more obvious things. But this show is amazing. It's funny. It's very, very funny. Though I have to say I enjoyed the Book of Mormon more. And that maybe Wicked wasn't exactly what I imagined it was still very, very pleasing and a show that you cannot deny the talent in. I mean, everything about that show is done so well. I was surprised.
Well, it did win Tony Awards.
Oh, yeah.
For its initial run.
Yeah, because, this is the second time it's actually been out here in Vegas. Mm-hmm. It came out here last year as well, and it, by popular demand, they said that... They were like, we need to bring it back. And I mean, it is seriously, but I think it came out it's been out for a long time. I want to say 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah, it was on Broadway in 2003, and they've been doing tours in the UK and Ireland and the US ever since. I mean, there's so much you could probably read about it, but I know it is a multi-award-winning show. People absolutely love this thing, and I mean, there was a book before the musical, and I hear people talk about the book, and then the show, the original Broadway production, won 3 Tony Awards and 6 Drama Desk Awards. And the cast album received a Grammy. It actually just celebrated its 11th anniversary, and it's the 11th longest running Broadway show in history.
Wow.
Yeah, because the performance runs 2 hours and 30 minutes plus 15-minute intermission, and that is true. that does not change. But it flies by. It really does, and I was genuinely surprised, and I recommend people to go see it. Definitely, if you get a chance. I mean, it's for someone who's not into Broadway. Even I think it's going to be something you could easily enjoy.
How long is it out here?
It's 2 hours and a half.
No. How the run?
Oh, it's 5 weeks. So I want to say November 9th or November 10th it's ending. So you have plenty of time to go see it. Really, 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 really recommend it. So keep your eye out for my review, unlvrebelyell.com. And you can also find other writings that I do for them, including interviews and stuff about local Vegas stuff.
What type of stuff?
Oh,
A&E department.
The A&E department. So if it's art and entertainment, I'm right.
You're there.
Kind of. I've my
wow,
short
what a glowing
period,
review for you.
My short period of time as a senior staff writer for the Rebel Yell, I've been very lucky to do exactly what I want. So, there's probably a lot I should be doing, but I'm like, well, Halloween's coming up. You should kind of let me do something about horror films, and let me review Gone Girl. I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff locally that I should be writing about, but my editor's so wonderfully nice to let me kind of do what I want and let me express myself, So, for those of my constant readers of ChasingCinema.com who want to read, there's also a tab at Chasing Cinema called Jake's Journal, and you could find links to my work at the Rebel Yell. So check out for that. And it's also part of our Pinterest page, but I don't know if we're Pinterest.com/ChasingCinema. I don't know how Pinterest works. I'm uploaded to Pinterest, but I don't know if that's how it works. So just go to Pinterest, look up ChasingCinema.com. We're there, and then you'll see some of my stuff. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it as I could think about. I watched SNL this week. No Gotham for me this week. I was like, no way.
No, thank you.
Oh, okay. And I watched American Horror Story Freak Show.
Oh.
Okay, so as I've talked about many times on this podcast, in the 125 times we've had this conversation, I've not watched a lot of television in my life. I've never been much of a TV person, opposed to Louis, who has watched countless hours of television and watched countless shows. I really lack in that department. Breaking Bad was kind of my revival in television, and even then I'm still lacking. American Horror Story was a show that I absolutely missed everything of. I mean, it sounded kind of intriguing, but at the same time, it's one of those, to me, with TV shows, I'm very, touchy about what I watch, because some things always seem really, super, generically made. They're doing what they're doing just, to get their money back, and then some stuff I hear through the grapevines are really good, so it always kind of depends. But I've heard so much good about American Horror Story, and I know it's an anthology series. An anthology meaning that each season doesn't have to be followed by the next. It's kind of their own stories. So I took it upon myself to say, all right, let's record Freak Show, and let's watch it. So I don't know if I could say I liked it.
Black milk.
Yeah, exactly. To quote, analyze that, or analyze this. No, analyze that. It's like black milk. It was one of the weirdest. It was definitely not what I expected. I was expecting, I mean, I went in thinking I knew where they were going. I knew what the whole plot premise was. Well, not really, but I knew there was going to be about a freak show and all these characters, bearded lady, two-headed women. And I was just like, this is not the structural, typical story I was expecting, which was a good thing, but it was so out there. I was like, huh? it didn't give me anything like latch onto. I didn't find any of it scary. Wouldn't even consider any of it really creepy. Kathy Bates with a beard. I mean, she's an amazing actress. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like, oh my god. I can't remember the actress who plays the two-headed woman. To me, I mean, that's an actress. I think that was a problem using an actress that you know so well. I have to look up her name because you're like, well, that's weird. I mean, like, it's not like, oh man, that's a kind of a real thing. It's, you just know, you're like, I wonder how, the whole time you're watching, you're like, I wonder how they did that. I wonder if they filmed it twice. I wonder if one, I mean, so I think that kind of got in the way more than anything. Mm-hmm. And then there's, I think, The Smallest Woman in the World, who I've either seen in somewhere else, but anyway, before I get into every character, it's just, I just didn't think it really was. It was strange. Don't get me. It was really, really weird. The creator and director Ryan Murphy. Mm-hmm. I mean, then again, I've not watched the other 3 seasons, so maybe this is normal for the AHS fan base. But to me, I was like, huh? I was so just confused by what was going on. Sarah Paulson plays Betty and Dot, who is a two-headed woman. It's so weird. I really can't even express how I really feel, because I'm just like, man, it was really, really strange. There's points where I was literally talking to this man, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I'm excited. I'll give you this. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it enough to recommend it to people. And if people ask me what I thought, I'm going to tell you what I exactly told you. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what's going on. It's a really, really out there type thing. But I will be tuning in next week. So we'll see where it goes from there, because they're either going to make me or break me in the next episode. So I don't know.
I can imagine.
Have you watched any of it or no?
No, and I it's not for me. Granted, I respect it because every year it does great at the Emmys, and Jessica Lange probably has a great performance in it. A lot of the critics and fans love her in it. But I think it's the type of show that has a direct fan base, and they know who they're appealing to. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
Now I'm not trying to
knock
the show by any means. I think the only way I could watch the show is with a diehard fan sitting next to me, and see if their enthusiasm or energy from watching it rubs off on me. But if I'm just gonna watch it by myself at home, I'm gonna roll my eyes scene after scene. Probably this is not for me.
That's how I felt. I felt this show is cool, but it definitely wasn't made with me in mind. But then again, I've talked to a lot of fellow critics and people that we've met and come to know, and they've all really enjoyed it. So that makes me even more confused. I mean, I think that you have to have some kind of investment, not in the character so much, but how the style is of that show. And I just wasn't expecting it. It hit out of left field. I was like, huh? What?
Yeah, I just remember seeing promos for the first season, and everyone's freaking out. Oh my god, that looks great! The man in the leather mask suit. Yeah. Oh my god, this is so creepy. So what is it? Got to watch it. I'm like, no, pass. Yeah. Not for me.
But I mean, I like it because I will say that I enjoyed the whole watching a new show. So hopefully, in coming months or weeks or however it may be, coming soon, hopefully Chasing Cinema will start doing light TV stuff, because Louis watches enough TV where he could talk about it like nobody's business. And I'm starting to just be curious now, where I'm like, I'll watch it. But see, I'm so used to being I have to finish it now. But Gotham was the exception. I was like, no.
Oh no.
But that trailer they put out today, I was like, oh, maybe.
For the new episode coming up?
I was being sarcastic, but still. My mom's like, well, she's so funny. She's like, I recorded it for us so he could watch. You gotta tell me what's going on. I was like, Mom, don't bother.
That's not good.
So that's gonna wrap it up for what we've been doing this week. Louis, why don't you take it off today with some movie news? What's going on in the world of movie news?
Pretty big news coming out from Hollywood. Several weeks ago, we discussed the possibilities of Ghostbusters 3
Yeah.
and the different directions it could go in. Well, it's been confirmed now, so this is big news, that director Paul Feig and Kate Diploid, the writer of The Heat, are going to team up and write Ghostbusters 3 with an all-female cast. I know we discussed this, but it's now been confirmed, and it's sort of a reboot, a revival. So I guess we may or may not see the original characters from the first two. We may, we don't know yet, but it's going to be a revival of Ghostbusters with an all-female cast, and I guess he's going to rewrite the script. Kate Diploid and Feig, who did Bridesmaids and The Heat as well, has signed on to direct it. So, yes, I'm very intrigued about the possibilities of this, like we discussed before, and I can't wait for the casting to begin.
Yeah, it was hard to not see that this week because, so many people have been talking about it. And I'm excited, but I'm really excited. I'm really hoping that he sticks with, Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy, especially because I would love to see them in this movie.
Absolutely.
But I'm definitely excited to kind of see this movie, just how it's going to turn out. Like, this is something where I'm sure it's kind of upsetting somewhat of a fan base, but I enjoy the series enough to kind of be open to change because I'm not that diehard about it. Like, I love it. It's fun, but I also don't mind it being changed. So, hopefully, hopefully it doesn't disappoint. It's got a lot of pressure, though. I will say that.
Oh, it definitely has big shoes to fill. And on a side note, and this could be potentially interesting, for the longest time, Bill Murray has adamantly say, I do not want to be a part of Ghostbusters 3 whatsoever. I hate the script, and there's so many different rewrites. He got sent all of them, hated each and every one of them, definitely denied his part in Ghostbusters 3. But he did comment on the female side of Ghostbusters 3 and said that, yes, I like the idea, and he gave his own casting. The interesting thing would be, what if they could get Bill Murray in a cameo role? Because I know he denied it, wanting anything to do with this, but because he kind of supports this idea, maybe he signs on for a supporting role, a cameo at the end, or passing of the torch scene. And that could be very interesting. And maybe Dana Aykroyd will get mad at that. So there's a lot of different ways this could go.
So I don't know if you saw it, but earlier when we went and reviewed the 30th anniversary of the Ghostbusters, me and James talked about this, the possibility that women were being casted, and he asked how I felt about it. And I said, the way I would do it, because the one thing me and Louis love to do is make our own movies here at JaceCinema.com. I said, what you do is not so much a remake, but you start off the movie, and Ghostbusters have closed down, they broke up. The building is run down, but you have the hanging logo. It's hanging because it's been abandoned for so long. And Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig stumble in it, and they're looking around, and they talk about how they were big fans of them when they were kids, and how they came to each of their houses to stop a paranormal thing. And then all of a sudden you have Bill Murray walk in, and he's like, "What are you guys doing here? It's closed down." And he's got a box and he's carrying something or whatever, and they're just like, "Oh my God, it's you!" You start talking, and he says, "Well, it's obvious, get out of here. Ghostbusters have been dead forever." And he goes, "It's so jinxed, no one even wants to buy this place." And then Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy agree to buy the place and take on the Ghostbusters name. That's how I would go about it, but
Yeah, that'd be a great way to go about it. They have definitely their options at hand.
Mm-hmm.
And on a different side note, if you love donuts and you love Ghostbusters, right now at Krispy Kreme, you could get a Ghostbuster donut.
Is that still going on? I thought that
I think it's still on. It's on their website promoting it still. A limited time, I think through Halloween, I'm guessing. So, if you like marshmallows.
Yes, thing is I love Krispy Kreme, and I love Ghostbusters, but I do not like marshmallow for the life of me. I was like, oh, James actually wrote me and was like, "Hey man, they're doing Ghostbusters stuff." I said, "What?" And I was all sorts of excited, and then I read they're both marshmallow. And I was like, ugh. I was like, you kind of
missing out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not my thing, especially that much. There's a lot. One's filled with marshmallows and one's covered in marshmallow.
Yeah, the must. That's good. You don't think so?
No, I don't know. Like what? I've never I was the
Have you
kid
had a moon pie?
Yeah. Oh God, no. But that's oatmeal. Ugh.
Even better.
I was like the kid that when everyone busted out s'mores, I'd make one, burn it, eat it, and then I'd be done. And then I would just make like Hershey's
And graham cracker sandwiches. Marshmallow's the best part.
No, see, I was like, okay, I had my burnt one, and I was over it. And I liked them burnt too. Like that's why I know I didn't like marshmallows. Like I had to literally change the texture, the taste.
Pitch black.
Yeah, no, I was one of those people that really liked to pitch black. Like if I couldn't crunch into it, it wasn't good.
Oh my god, you're sick.
Yeah, I know.
There's something wrong with you. Okay, moving on because I can't. We have this discussion about marshmallows or not. To more casting news. A female lead in Tarantino's Hateful Eight has been casted, and it's none other than Jennifer Jason Leigh, who's mostly known for her performance in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Now, in this report, they talked about the other potential stars who was up for this role. They were Michelle Williams, Hilary Swank, Robin Wright, and Demi Moore. But it looks like Tarantino has found Jason Leigh and was very pleased with her. But did not mention Jennifer Lawrence, so I don't know if this is two different characters in the film. Did not commented on Lawrence's position with Hateful Eight, so there's still hope in that regard.
Well, that to me is just Tarantino being Tarantino and casting what he usually does what is a great cast. A quick sidebar about Tarantino, though. Tarantino was recently on our good friend Elvis Mitchell's podcast, The Treatment, at KCRW.com, or you can look it up on iTunes. It is an amazing podcast. For those of you who don't know, Quentin Tarantino took over the Beverly Hills Theater. I believe it's and he's showing his collection of 35 millimeter print, or mostly 35 millimeter print films. He's actually showing prints, not digital, and it gets into a big conversation about 35 millimeters and film prints versus digital. It's a really, really insightful podcast. It's a great discussion. It's a really fun discussion. A lot of movies are being talked about that. Really big movie buffs will enjoy. So if you get a chance, go check that out, kcrw.com. Look for The Treatment, or just search on iTunes The Treatment, and it's the most recent with Quentin Tarantino. It was an amazing podcast.
Shake it, don't break it.
Shake it, don't break it. Shake it, don't break it.
If you've seen the
if you've heard the
podcast,
you know,
you definitely get the reference. Okay, so moving on. Following the big news about The Sandman going to Netflix for a 4-film deal, another Sandman type creation and came from Happy Madison Production is getting the digital treatment. Fans of Joe Dirt rejoice. A sequel is on its way exclusively on Crackle.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to start filming in November. David Spade is returning. I don't know about the other side characters. I know Kid Rock was in it. I don't know if he's coming back. I know Christopher Walken was in the first one. Hopefully they could get him back again. But they are filming Joe Dirt 2, and will premiere sometime next year on Crackle. And the funniest thing from this is the president of Crackle said that they have Joe Dirt on their website, and it has amazing attraction to its customers, users. So they decided, you know what, maybe we should bring them Joe Dirt too.
Yeah, I saw a post from David Spade, and he had posted the script and said, "Dang, it's happening." Well, he didn't say that, obviously, but that's what it read. And I was like, oh my God, like Joe Dirt, man. Because that was big for a certain audience. I saw it, and, it was whatever. Christopher Walken was in that. And he didn't
He was
die,
amazing in that.
He acted like he died,
yeah.
But, I have no recollection of Joe Dirt. Very little.
Enough or not, I did like it a lot.
The only thing I really remember is, I can't even remember. I remember he thinks it's his sister. That's what I remember the most. Is that he thinks he's in love with his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember this is Mike, and this is I don't even remember the back.
Yeah,
that's all I remember. Whatever. Do we need a Joe Dirt sequel? I don't know.
Yes,
maybe
I
some
think we
people do.
Why not?
I guess so.
Come on, in Hollywood when they make all these sequels, let's get outside the box. Let's go here, Joe Dirt. Why not?
It's better. Like I said, the movie definitely has an audience, and people will definitely be tuning in. So that's no shock to me.
And it's on Crackle, so yeah, more power to Crackle.
Crackle.
Have you ever used Crackle?
No. Nothing against them. I've just never used it.
Seinfeld has his comedians in car getting coffee web series on Crackle. And that's a great web series to check out.
Absolutely.
Moving on, and this is big news, especially for Jake. I guess I have no clue because this is kind of over my head. I don't know who half of these people are, so hopefully he could shed some light on this.
Uh-oh.
And it revolves around DC Comics and their films. So there's been a report that apparently Brainiac might be the villain in Justice League. I have no clue who Brainiac is. I guess that's fine. I don't know. Jake, what do you think? Who?
Oh my God, what was it? Brainiac was recently in you know how they've been doing a lot of the animated movies recently? Mm-hmm. He was in one of those. I can't remember what it was called. Oh my God. Anyway, Brainiac is a really interesting villain. I definitely don't see him being a problem whatsoever. I think that's actually a really, really fun kind of character. It is a character I think that some people aren't very familiar with, which I think is also a really, really smart type of deal. He's basically like he's like a green robotic. I think they call him a humanoid. That kind of is able to take all of his intelligence, and he looks really, really cool. I can't really describe. He's basically a green type alien robot that has all these things going on in his brain. He's obviously a genius, Brainiac.
I would hope so.
That should be the thing, is that he's actually not.
It's one of those sarcastic nicknames.
Yeah.
Like when you call someone,
Brainiac.
Yeah. That'd be funny.
He is one of Superman's main nemesis. Mm-hmm. He's responsible for shrinking and stealing Kandor. He was known for shrinking and stealing these cities. And for those of you who don't know, Kandor is the capital city of Superman's home planet. He did that in the movie. What is that movie called? I want to say it was Superman. Sorry, guys. It's going to bother me. I need to look. It was a great flick, too. We gave it away at the Man of Steel screening. What was it called? Anyway, so yeah, totally cool use. He has been... But see, the thing is, the way that he beats up Brainiac... Okay, it's called Unbound. Superman Unbound. Great little movie. Is the way he beats Brainiac in this world is how the way he gets Zod in Man of Steel. Brainiac comes down and he's he can't handle all of the noises and all the sensations, and Superman's like, ha, gotcha. So I mean, very interesting character. I think it'd be very, very fun more to put him in. So
yeah, I guess. I have no clue, but I do know that the production of the Justice League is still ways away, so this could definitely change from here to production date, but it is being rumored that Brainiac will be in the Justice League. Moving on, and this is interesting. I like this premise. Never heard of it again. So enlighten me, my dear friend.
I'll do my best.
They're making a Suicide Squad movie, and the reports are David Ayer, who brought you and Watts, Fury's coming up with him, is attached to direct, and the Suicide Squad is going to focus on Deadshot, Harkness, Vixen, Blockbuster, Multiplex, Jaculi, and Mind Blogger. And again, the concept is pretty much these 7 supervillains agree to do work for the country to get reduced sentences to get out of jail type of deal. And I like that. It's, picture a Justice League movie, but all villains. So that's pretty cool. But again, this is out of my league. So I have no clue what I'm talking about.
I know of the Suicide Squad and probably can't give you much of. I know there was a few versions of the Suicide Squad. I even know, I believe at one point, Deadpool was a part of it somewhere. Let me see here. I think, yeah, okay. I just wanted to look it up real quick. The one that launched in July has Deathstroke, Black Manta, and Joker's daughter in it, which I think is really, really cool, but I don't think they're going to go on that way. But I really don't know very much about the whole Suicide Squad thing. It wasn't... I'm sorry, I said Deadpool, didn't I? It's Deadshot. Wasn't necessarily my thing. So, like you said, I think you've given... I don't know what you want me to say, really. Like, it'll be an interesting movie, sure. It depends on who they use.
Have you heard of these villains, or...?
I've heard of some of them,
some.
But some of them I can't remember off the top of my head. Like, there's no, like, they're not like, oh, like, I mean...
So this is definitely like the Sinister Six for DC Comics, then?
Yeah, but Sinister Six was bad people. Like, I know the Suicide Squad's bad people, but Suicide Squad's trying to do good. Sinister Six, like, let's kill everybody.
Well, are they really trying to do good? If there's all these manipulations. They got killed this guy for the government. They kill this guy, then they do this and that.
From what I remember of the Suicide Squad, I'm pretty sure like Suicide Squad actually do good for like the majority of it.
It's a lie. They don't do good. They can't do good. It's an act.
I don't know. I know I'm probably going to get some blogger like, hey, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know.
Or the tagline for the original comic of the Suicide Squad, these 8 people will put their lives on the line for our country.
Yeah, they do like a lot of U.S. stuff. Go on.
One of them won't be coming home.
Oh, Jesus.
What does that mean? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, that was from... oh, man. That was super early, too. But see, like, those characters, the one you're looking at, was one where, like, they actually did a lot of stuff. They took, like, on a bunch of missions for the government and they did good things. I think even in one of these, Oracle appears, who's Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon's daughter, former Batgirl. She's in here. I mean, it all depends. And again, of course, there's the Silver Age. You have to worry about the New 52s. I mean, there's all different types of universes you got to think about. So I don't know. I would like to be able to be more informative here, but I cannot.
I just hope Warner Brothers release like a set, like, okay, this is what we're definitely going to do in the next 5 years. Like, Marvel seems so much ahead of the game, where they plan, telling you 5 years from now, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out. It's a great setup, a great itinerary. Warner Brothers, like, okay, maybe not here, which bothers me. But one thing Warner Brothers did announce is that a Lego Batman movie is coming.
Yes, and that will be amazing because I really, really love the Lego Batman game. I think it'll be a very, very fun, exciting, great movie. I don't know, but see, the thing is it's going to probably be more based off the Lego movie Batman. Not so much like the Lego Batman game, Lego Batman, but I think that'll be fun if they put all the villains in, and I think it'd be a great kids movie. So,
and Will Arnett is returning to voice Batman, which is good. And that rounds up movie news.
All right, wonderful.
Over the week.
So I'm going to be reviewing The Judge and Dracula Untold. So first, let me break down the Dracula Untold, which shouldn't take very long. I didn't mean that to come off wrong.
Oh, it did.
I'm sorry. So Dracula Untold... Okay, so I don't know if you know this.
That should be the review.
That should be my review. I don't know who knows this, but it has been brought to my attention that Universal is trying to like do a whole monster universe, and they're going to be rebooting Dracula and Mummy and all these guys like Frankenstein and all that. And this is like the decider of the group.
Ooh. All right, so
for me to be like
Universal has canceled the Monsters universe.
For me to even think this film is necessary, it's ridiculous. For me to think this even needs to happen is ridiculous. Anyway, director Gary Shore brings the untold story of Dracula. As we all know, Vlad the Impaler is Dracula, who once his king. So basically, he's fighting all the Turks. He's kidnapped by the Turks, goes home to Transylvania, becomes the prince. He's a good dude, wants peace. Turks come back to say, we want some of your kids. And Dracula's got to make a decision and make a deal that'll change his life forever. That deal involves sucking some blood. Just letting you know. This movie didn't need to happen at all. I feel like Dracula Untold should have remained untold. And I think the only thing it does right is suck the life right out of you. This movie, like Luke Evans, I've heard a lot of controversy over Luke Evans. I don't think he did an amazing job, but I don't think it was all his fault. I think it was a mixture of faults, which is disappointing. I mean, these movie monsters from Universal, especially Dracula and Frankenstein, have lived and become like living, breathing icons that we still to this day recognize and know. Even though Dracula came from the late 1800s in the graphic novel, or not graphic novel, I'm sorry, the gothic novel. And then we have Frankenstein, who's been around forever. Dracula first appeared in film in like the early 1920s in a Russian film, later seen as Nosferatu, though it wasn't necessarily Dracula because of, copyright issues and all that stuff. And then we have the 1931 Todd Browning Dracula. So to take a character like Dracula, one of the most seductive, scary, villainous creatures of all time, and to make him a monotone, boring character, there's an issue. There's a big issue. You got Vlad the Impaler, and you make him boring, we got an issue. I just feel like this movie brought nothing new to the table. It literally had nothing to say. A lot, it's a popcorn movie. It is a popcorn movie that doesn't work. It's a popcorn movie that isn't fun, is the best way to put it. I just didn't get anything out of it. The one redeeming factor I could say about this film was the score, and the score was an amazing, intense, operatic type score that was trying to push this film, but it was like pushing a dead body. It was pushing something that couldn't be pushed. I literally have nothing about the film that I enjoyed. It is a mixture of an action horror film, as if 300 with fangs, if you will, and I literally got nothing out of it. Like, I really could not see the point in this film. And then, I mean, as we spoke I don't even know how long ago, we saw I, Frankenstein. And, I, Frankenstein was one of the most unnecessary movies in the world, and it was just terrible. And this film falls in the same category. So, these people are talking about rebooting a universe, and I'm just saying to myself, guys, I don't know if you're gonna make enough money to reboot this universe. Louis, if you don't know, check and see how much Dracula Untold made. I'm sure they made some money. I know Gone Girl still dominated the box office.
I believe about 26 million.
So that isn't bad.
Came in second place.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No,
especially when you're beating out movies like The Judge. But I'm just like, ugh. That's how I feel. If you want to know my review, I was like, ugh. Like, I just felt this 2 hour. Well, no, it's like an hour and 40 minutes. It's just so unneeded. And I just, to myself, I'm just like, I am a person who's a big fan of movie monsters. You could ask the way. I've literally been following movie monsters since I was a kid, especially Frankenstein, and I've always loved the vampire story. And this film just does nothing. It doesn't add anything to the Dracula subgenre, if you will, or the vampire genre. It doesn't do anything interesting. Basically, I feel like Luke Evans was like, I want to be Batman. And they're like, we can't do that. But we could like we could give you Dracula. You could have a cape. Like, and you could have bats, but we can't make you Batman. And then he was like, well, how about Thor? And they're like, no, but you could have a red cape and dress just like Thor in the movie. Because there's a scene when he is hanging out and he's got a red cape. He's got silver. He looks just like Thor. And I'm like, what is going on? And then even the poster. Well, I mean, I'm kind of
identical,
not identical. Yeah, like I'm not. People are gonna be like, you idiot, Thor wears blue or whatever. Well, not blue, but like a different kind of metal. But I mean, you're like, oh my god, that's kind of Thorish. And then you have in the poster where he has this huge cape made of bats. You're like, that's kind of Batmanish. So I don't know exactly what happened, but again, my feeling towards this movie was that it just didn't need to happen. I get movies that want to be made and want to tell a new version of a story, but even though this movie has some originality to it, it doesn't. I mean, it's quality. Originality doesn't mean anything if you don't have quality to offer. They made this movie, and I felt like it was a complete waste of my time. I'm sure some people are really going to enjoy it, like most stuff that I don't like, but I seriously doubt that they'll be able to continue making universes like this. I just sent you the picture that looks like Thor. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for me. I not a fan.
I can't like that. I definitely could see Thor.
Right? You see Thor?
The red cape. He has the metal armor. Take away the sword he has. It looks like on his hip, and place
the hammer.
With Thor's hammer. Okay, maybe Thor has an alternate uniform he wears, and that could be it. Yeah, definitely see Thor in that. And in this film, even from the previews, like how many times do they need to recreate classic literature, a classic monster? Earlier this year was Frankenstein, now it's Dracula, and do it in a way where they think it's so more modern and relevant and hip and cool, but in actuality, they're just killing the character.
Yeah, they really are. They're doing nothing positive for the character at all.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it made that much money. I give them credit for that, but I'm not surprised it's not that good.
So,
but the question is this better than I, Frankenstein?
That's so tough. I honestly think they're equally as bad, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably choose Dracula because of the score. Like, at least the score is redeeming.
Yeah, because Frankenstein was the best. I despise that film for coming out.
Yeah. I don't know. Woof.
Monster. Okay, so they're gonna have a monsters film, Justice League, where you get that Frankenstein, this Dracula, now they have to make a mummy.
Yeah, werewolf. I know. Where are you gonna go with that? Like, this is the new version, and they all look like regular men. The mummy doesn't have wraps. What the hell? Like, Frankenstein doesn't look like Frankenstein. The Count Dracula doesn't look like Count Dracula. And you know what pisses me off more than anything? Spoiler alert, people. I guess. Spoiler alert. I'm talking about the end here. So, we see Dracula as Vlad the Impaler and his, like, change in Dracula. And then we zoom into modern day. And I'm just like, you couldn't give me that one moment of seeing him as the Count with, like, the white hair or anything. No, they want to give me that. They wanted to show him in modern day, hitting on ladies and stuff. Whatever. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm going to be reviewing The Judge, the new film starring Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall. It was directed by David Dobkin. So The Judge tells the story of a big city lawyer by the name of Hank Palmer, who has to return to his small city home, where his dad is a big judge and he's also estranged from his father. But his dad has been charged with murder. And now it is up to him to defend him, even though his dad is reluctant to have him defend him in any way possible. Okay, so this movie looks like it has basically everything it needs to be a really, really good movie. You know, you have a great cast, an amazing cast. You have Robert Duvall and Robert Downey Jr., two really, really top-of-the-notch actors that are going to be working amongst each other, obviously, with an strained relationship. You have this plot that could be very emotional driven. You also have a member of cast, Billy Bob Thornton, who people absolutely adore, and who did very, very well in his new series Fargo. But as you kind of watch this film, you realize that it has a few problems. Now, if you don't know the director, who is David Dobkin, he directed Fred Claus, Wedding Crashers, Shanghai Nights, so obviously mostly comedies. And that isn't a bad thing, but it definitely shows here, because this film that has moments that are literally very intense with drama and very sad, and they actually even show things that I've not really seen in other films, and that are very, very touching and very push your face in the emotion, if you will. It has to resort back to these lowbrow, childish comedic moments that honestly, I think, disrupt the film more than anything. A perfect example, I don't consider this a spoiler, it is a side plot though. But if you don't want to hear anything about it whatsoever, then you can fast forward for just a few minutes. But there's a subplot where Robert Downey Jr. makes out with a girl who works at a diner, a young waitress. And as he visits some old people that he knew in his hometown, he discovers an old girlfriend. And he's led to believe that the girl he met out with at the diner might be his daughter. Now, as you know, that plot line doesn't belong in this kind of movie. This movie about a son who has to defend the father that's never given him his credit or said he's proud of him. This type of emotional setup has this random subplot that honestly does nothing but get in the way of the movie. Now, another thing I saw was that a lot of audience members were laughing a lot more than I did. I thought there was this movie was more of a very serious drama, not so much a comedy drama, which some people have labeled it as. I label a drama comedy like This Is Where I Leave You, or things of that nature that have a really well balance of lighthearted humor, and it's also very lightly touching. It isn't very heavy on either side. However, this film I felt was like 80% drama and 20 unnecessary percent of comedy. This subplot being the main source of that comedy, where we will have to leave these hugely either intense or emotional moments and go to this random subplot. Now, some people said to me when I was talking to them about this, said, well, what about the fact that you need comic relief? You can't have everything be intense drama. This is true, but you don't need a whole subplot of it either. All you need is a few moments of comedic relief, But the fact that they went as far as to display a thought that Robert Downey Jr. might have made out with this kid, it definitely does not belong in this movie. It just kind of really threw everything off. The great Martin Scorsese talked about how there's plot and story, and how story is much more than just plot. Plot is the whole point of a movie, point A to point B. Excuse me, got the hiccups here. And how story goes much beyond before and after the plot and these characters and so on and so forth. I felt this movie was made with the plot, not with the story. The moments, don't get me wrong, the moments Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall clash are amazing. They are beautiful. They are high intensity. Sometimes they'll make you cry. Sometimes they can make you laugh. But there is a lot of emotions between them two, and when they are on screen, it is amazing. However, even with the major plot of the film that has Robert Downey Jr., defending his father, Robert Duvall, it all gets in this way. It seems like it all gets in the way of what we really want to watch, and that's these two deal with their issues. Now, I'm not saying... Because the movie becomes a courtroom drama. His father being charged with murder is not what gets Robert Downey Jr. back to this town. It's actually his mother's dying. And I think the story of his mother dying and Robert Duvall just having to deal with Robert Downey Jr. would be enough to get that point across, and enough of a film to see them kind of get past that in order to help carry on the memory of of his wife and Robert Downey Jr.'s mother. However, they all of a sudden turn the plot into this huge murder, not a murder mystery, but a murder that leads into a courtroom drama. And the courtroom drama doesn't feel like it belongs. I mean, the whole movie, i.e., is called The Judge, and it's about a lawyer and a judge, but it just doesn't feel necessary. I felt like that didn't really help tell the story at all. Sure, it gave them a reason to have to be together, but we could have found another way easily, like, to kind of have that happen. I didn't think it was the most effective part of the film. It was honestly the most effective part for me was when Robert Downey Jr. decided to bring home his daughter to his home city and introduce him to her grandfather, who he warned her, and then he is the most loving person ever. And that, from that moment on, you could have had a lovely and very beautiful, touching story. So I think this movie is just kind of really, really confused on what it wanted to be. If it wanted to be a courtroom drama, if it wanted to be a comedy drama, if it wanted to be as serious as it came off to be. Now, here's the thing. I saw 2 trailers for this film. One trailer came off as a very serious, emotional drama, and one trailer came off like a witty Robert Downey Jr. comedy. That, I think, was a major problem, is because even in the marketing, it didn't know how to be marketed, either a comedy or a drama. I'm sure some people went in that theater expecting a comedy, and some people, that's what they pulled out of it, more of the comedic aspects. I went in thinking it was a drama, and I felt that it was a drama at heart, but Dobkin might have been a little out of his comfort zone and needed to retreat to the lowbrow comedy for comfort, is what I'm thinking. Another thing I wanted to comment on was the fact how the filmmakers totally underused the recently Emmy nominated actor, actually I believe winning actor, Billy Bob Thornton, who plays the prosecutor in the case that Robert Downey Jr. is defending with his father, and they really don't use him to an advantage at all. This role could have been played by anybody, and it wouldn't have made a difference. They really gave this amazing, actor who is really, really doing well right now, nothing to work with. And that, again, is me saying, what were they thinking? They have moments to act on things, and they don't. They're given so much to use, and they don't properly use these elements effectively. And that's what's really, really disappointing with The Judge. Overall, I enjoyed my viewing of The Judge. I just don't think it was anything more, anything worth watching any more times. I feel like it didn't give me anything to walk away with. I know it was trying to be emotional, but all this subplots and even the main plot just seemed to be really getting away of me emotionally connecting with everybody. Like I said, the Robert Duvall and Robert Downey Jr. were amazing, and when they clash, and it is like lightning, and it is amazing to watch. However, beyond that, it just kind of feels like a disappointment, and that's where I think this movie messed up, is that it let things get in the way of what really made this movie, and that's Robert Downey Jr., Robert Duvall. Don't get me wrong, because when you see this film, you'll see them interacting a lot, but not in the way that you want them to, or you'll notice yourself not being emotionally attached to these characters as much as you would like to. So I think that's the major issue. So I think that's going to wrap up my review for The Judge. If you want to read more about what I have to say, go to chasingcinema.com/thejudge. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to read my review on Dracula, go to chasingcinema.com/Dracula Untold. If you want to read my review on The Judge, read chasingcinema.com/thejudge. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/chasingcinema, Twitter @chasingcinema, youtube.com/chasingcinema. And as always, next week we'll be here talking about some other movies. We're going to be talking about The Book of Life and Fury. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm Jacob Toronto. Enjoyed my loyal, faithful co-host / best friend,
Louis Corazolo.
And please continue chasing cinema.